I've noticed most of us are spending way too much on these little ear thingies, and others are just unsure how much they should spend to like maximize the value, which is why I made this guide. For example, if the U12T or the Condensa 12, which are the best IEMs I've heard just in terms of resolution, layering, dynamics, if those are the benchmarks for others to compare by, or 100%, then a $20 IEM like the One would sit around 25% of the Condensa 12's technical performance. And when I say technical performance, I'm not only talking about resolution and layering, but also things like timbre, texture, and the overall dynamics. Because a cheaper planar like the RDT10 could match more expensive sets when it comes to resolution alone, but it falls behind when it comes to timbre, the bass texture, and how smooth the dynamics are. Using a percentage metric, I'm going to try to categorize IEMs based on their diminishing returns. Of course, this isn't, 100% accurate or scientific, but more of a estimation, but I believe it will help better your purchasing decision. Starting with the sub $25 price bracket, and sales will be included for every price category. The best IEM here, tech-wise, comes in at around 25% in comparison to the Condensa 12, or 25 out of 100. An example of this would be something like the EW100, the One, and they all get a value rating of 1 star. This is because even though their price is very good, their tuning is solid as well. It's just tech-wise, they still leave a lot to be desired, which is why they only get 1 star and not 2 or 3. Moving up in the sub $55 category, the best comes in at 35%, or 35 out of 100. These IEMs are roughly 40% better than the best $25 IEMs, and the best here would be the EW200 with a value ranking of 2 stars. However, not every IEM in this price bracket is necessarily 40% better. On average, sets like the Clinical Red or the Moondrop Land is more around 30 out of 100, or 20% better than the $25 IEMs, whereas the EW200 is a little bit better and the best all-rounder or value-wise in this price bracket. Next, we have the sub $90 price bracket, and here's where things gets interesting. On average, the bump isn't huge, so think Hexa Olina SC, the original EA500. These sit at around 40 to 45 out of 100, or around 20% better than the EW200. But ever since the EA500LM and stuff like the RDT10 came out, they completely redefined the price bracket. This is because the LM and T10 sits at around 60 out of 100 when others are around 40 to 45. Yes, you heard that right, 60 out of 100. The bump is pretty big. In this unique scenario, the increase from $40 of the EW200 to the $70 and $90 actually matches the performance bump of these 35 to 60, which both are a 1.75x increase, which is why both the LM and T10 gets a 3-star value ranking, because you actually get what you paid for. Surprise, which is pretty much, unheard of in this audio world if we're talking strictly price to performance. Now, as for the sub $150 mark, the current IEMs here like the S12, the EM6L, and the Nova also sits at around 60 out of 100. Or in other words, they are around the same level tech-wise as the LM and the T10. As you can see, here's where the diminishing returns really start to kick in. Now, I'm sure more competitive sets will come out later this year. Well, at least I hope so, or else, this price bracket is just going to be dead. But as for now, I would avoid this price range unless you want a very specific type of tuning like a Harman diffuse field set like the Nova, or a more unorthodox IEM like the Phoenix Call or the Blutest Beast, which I will be reviewing later. But tuning aside, no jumps tech-wise. As for the sub $250 category, there is a small bump for sets like the EA1000s where the imaging and notes are a little bit sharper and a little bit cleaner than the LM, not as smooth and warm, but you're looking at a 5% to 10% bump at best here, or 65 out of 100. Then for IEMs under $350, so sets like the Blessing 3, the Blessing 2 Dusk, the Performer 8 on sale, we're looking at another small bump of 75 out of 100, or in other words, a 15% increase from the $250 ones, which isn't the biggest, but it is what it is. Then moving up to the sub $600 IEMs like the Variations, the Top, the Hype 4, we get another small bump of around 10 to 15%, or 85 out of 100. As you can see, the jump in performance just keeps getting smaller and smaller as the price increases. and thus the whole diminishing returns fiasco. It gets even smaller once you move up around the $1,000 mark, so stuff like the Monarchs, the Supernova, these are 90 out of 100. On an average, we're looking at around a 5 to 7% bump from the $600 mark, or 10% at best. But the diminishing return doesn't stop here. It gets even worse for IEMs under $2,000 with sets like the LTD, the Mess, the Crimson. These are around 95 out of 100, which is again a 5% bump over the $1,000 stuff, and at best maybe 7%. And this is where tuning and preference really takes over, since the difference is so very small. Then lastly, we have the Condensa 12 and the U12Ts of the world, which sits at the very top in terms of technical performance, 100 out of 100, the benchmark for other comparisons. Obviously, this also includes other sets I haven't heard yet, like the Storm and Asteria, which most likely will also fall into this range, if not better. Keep an eye out on the sheets. I'll be updating them after hearing more releases. So then the question becomes, for most people, what would be the best jump value-wise, or in other words, how do you stop wasting money? Well, if you want a true endgame set, so stuff like the Monarch Mark IIIs, the Mirai, the LTD, and most likely the Hype Tin as well, these IEMs will get you to the endgame level without overspending another $500 or $1,000 on that last 5 to 10%. Now obviously not everyone wants to spend that much, or has that much to spend to begin with. So in terms of avoiding diminishing returns but still getting very close to the end game level, my pick would actually be the Hype 4, which is very all-rounded, very well tuned, but also very good tech-wise. It has one of the best textured low end, and the overall timbre is much better than the planars, but still having that same technical prowess in terms of resolution, layering. And the treble qualities is also smoother on top, and you can get these for like $350 on sale, and just overall it's a great set and endgame for most people. But my personal favorite would still be the EA 500 LM. Value wise, I just don't see anything beating it for a while, but don't go quoting me on that because it is Sci-Fi we're talking about. You never know what's going to be released next, but for now the EA 500 LM's got very good resolution, very good tech, almost the same as the Hype 4, amazing base textures, smooth dynamics, slightly warm but not overly colored, and just a fantastic release from SlimGod altogether. There are IEMs around the same price like the Nova with better layering, and that's cleaner, more balanced, but personally I like the warmer but still resolving sound of the LM better. Your taste may vary. Anyhow, I hope this guide was helpful. Check out the list for more details. Again, I'll be updating them as more sets are released. But thanks for watching guys, and I'll see everyone in the next one.